Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Usually they pay me in full, and then I usually, if I want to get back to them, I will. If I don't, I just take their money. No, we probably shouldn't put that in there.
Be careful, that's going to wind up on the Gardner Collective post.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
Today, on a very special episode of the Making Waves VO podcast, it's all about me, Kevin.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't wait. Coming up in just a couple of minutes, it's going to be the world premiere of my new documentary in-show narration demo, produced by Eric Romanowski, and I got coached up by Thom Pinto, an OG in the coaching world, and I could not be more excited. And I literally, Bobby, have not heard this yet. Literally.
Are you sure?
I pinky swear. I pinky promise.
I don't know if I could go that long because you've had it for a while. Kudos to you, man.
Yeah, I actually just a few minutes ago downloaded it because I hadn't even downloaded it, but I downloaded it a few minutes ago, and Eric Romanowski sent it to me on February 28th. That's how long I've had it.
Wow.
I know, but it's all been. I wanted it to culminate in a podcast. So I don't know how you feel.
When did you actually record it, though?
The process started at the end of 23, but I think the actual record was like the first or second week of January.
And I know documentary is like near and dear to your heart. I know this was really, really big for you.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely. 100%. Well, let's not keep them waiting. Let's get Eric and Thom into the room. Eric Romanowski, producer, and Thom Pinto, coach and voice actor, are going to join us on the Making Waves VO podcast, presented by Full Compass and FullCompass.com.
We know VO.
Two of my favorite people in the voiceover universe. We are talking about voice actor and coach Thom Pinto and demo producer extraordinaire Eric Romanowski. Welcome to the Making Waves VO podcast.
Yay!
This is great, man.
Crowd's going wild.
Too early for cocktails, but it's still fun.
Oh, yeah. And we missed having cocktails with Thom in Atlanta because Thom was super busy, and Eric was not able to make it this year, which was first time for you, right, Eric?
Yeah, since 2017.
Yeah, we definitely missed you.
Yeah, no, I miss being there. I miss seeing you guys for sure. That's like my one time of year that I get to see Pinto and you guys and other coaches and other talent. And I was
Thom
bummed.
was there, and we didn't even see him.
Yeah,
that's
So busy.
I
Thom
did
was in
not
the tall
even
weeds.
see them. I know that we tried to hook up to talk about, joining all the wonderful people that you guys had on your Making Wave stuff out of your room there.
Yeah.
But I didn't even see you guys on the floor.
Yeah.
Like walking to one room to another room. I mean, that's,
Well, you were busy, man.
That's how. No, I think it's also how crazy it is in terms of people going then they duck into their rooms and you miss them or whatever, or maybe you see the back of someone's head and you go, "Who is that? Is that?" And then by the time you realize who it is, they've gone into the room. So
Plus, there was a wig night, so you didn't know who they were then.
Bobby, I have to tell you that I was in bed by wig night because I had an early flight. And if you recall, we had the spring forward aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's right.
So I really, I needed to be out the door at 6:30, which essentially ended up being 5:30.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I thought you were going to say you were in bed with your wig on. That's what I initially thought you were going to say.
A lot of people had some nice wigs. That's good. Do you know who had? Okay, talking out of school maybe, but you know who had the best wig of all? But I don't think he calls it a wig. The little kitchen area at the hotel where you can buy sandwiches and coffee and what have you. There was a guy who, I swear to God, a server, charming Southern accent. He looked exactly like, remember Rip Taylor
Yeah.
comedian Rip Taylor, and his big ass wig. That's what he was wearing.
Oh, wow.
And then he would say, well, there is an ATM machine on the other side over there, and that'd be fine. That'll be 1473.
So he was like a combination of the late, who's the wonderful guy? The late Leslie Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
But with Rip Taylor's wig. He was quite a character. Anyway.
Too funny.
Oh, that is funny. And talking about VO Atlanta, and we're here with Eric Romanowski and Thom Pinto, and we're going to be having the world premiere of my documentary in-show narration demo coming up in just a minute. But Eric, did you guys meet? Did you and Thom meet at VO Atlanta? Because I know you've collaborated a lot. Was that the impetus there?
Yeah. So it was 2017 where Pinto and I met. I don't even, well, he did know me because, all right, so here's what happened. And I tell this story a bunch because I just love it. To me, it was a big deal. To Pinto, it's probably like, whatever.
Yeah,
he's used to the groupies. But no, I was in I was in one of the breakouts, and Pinto was up on a panel. I think it was like promo or something. And he mentioned another demo producer while I was in the room. And this was like early, like I wasn't even full time at this point. So I was more shy than I am now, but at that point I was even more shy. And after the seminar, after the breakout, I went up to Pinto and I never met him. And I just said, if you ever effing bring up another demo producer when I'm in the room, we're going to have problems. And he just looked at me and he's like, Eric Romanowski. And I was like, oh, cool. He does know my name. And since then it's been, a
Tom's
match
kept
made in
himself in
heaven.
line.
Yeah.
Somehow
Well,
I don't
I
believe
think-
the if you ever effing part.
Yeah, what's your version, Tom?
He was rather direct.
No, I might not have
he-
dropped the F-bomb, but I definitely went up to him and said, if
he
you
was
ever.
direct, and my response was, great. Let me hear some of your stuff in that arena, and then we'll start working on it. And
I probably should have said I was obviously kidding. I have much respect for other demo producers. For those of you that don't know me,
Right.
I kid a lot. So I was obviously kidding. But it was just kind of funny how I introduced myself, and that was the way I broke the ice with them.
Yeah. But I think it had to do more with TV narration stuff because I was familiar with the fact that you did a lot of promo stuff, and you go, no, I do TV narration. And so, that started our relationship where we had a little more back and forth where people were starting to work with you. And Eric's basically, the shuffle has been so far, Eric will say, if you want to do a demo here, prep for a demo, work with Pinto. Then they work with me. And then what I do with Eric and any other producer, actually, there's the producers I work with are Eric Romanowski, Romanowskiness, and Eric Romanowski. Those are the producers that I work with on TV narration.
You don't have to lie.
Anyway, but the point is that we put together MP3s. Eric listens to them, gets a sense of the zones, but then as any good producer begins to weigh in and say, maybe you're missing this, or how about this, or whatever. And then he writes the original scripts. Thank goodness. Thank you, Eric. And then people will prep with me, not that we go over the copy, with 9,000 takes. We talk more about options, where to go, option A, option B, in terms of tone, energy, and all that. And then, of course, after that, Eric will do mixes. He'll send me mixes. He'll send mixes to both the client and myself. I will weigh in, go from there. Maybe we talk about the change of order or whatever, and then we go. So it's developed into a really nice rhythm because Eric's producing it. And I always tell the talent, because they're saying, well, what about this or what about that? And I said, you have your passions. Producer also is trying to have a vision. Let's not handcuff him too much. Allow him to at least, execute his vision for what they hear for you. And then we can talk about it later. There's always revises.
What's interesting, because I don't know if you guys recall, I think it was pre-COVID. That's crazy how long ago that was. I did my in-show with Eric, and then Tom, you came in afterwards to add a few new cuts. One was the crime cut, and the other was the documentary that in Africa. And both were great. So you guys were both really, really good directors and loved the demo.
You know what's interesting is you bring that up. I mean, you were in a situation where you had at least good bones. You just needed a couple of tweaks to just add that variety, that versatility that you have, just to have it demonstrated. So that was a no-brainer. You know, that's an easier fit. But when you're looking at 5 or 6 pieces with somebody, you know, it involves that much more prep. And plus the fact, give yourself a little credit, Bobby. You've done work. You've actually done work. You're not like a person aspiring. You know, so it was easy for me to respect the kinds of things that you wanted because you already had, you know, some experience in this. So anyway, but that was a long. I know, it's 2017, 7 years ago.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
This is Katie Lee, and you've got the best VO podcast in all of the land right here. The Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby. Enjoy!
Full Compass is your one-stop destination for cutting-edge audio, video, and lighting solutions. With nearly 50 years of industry expertise, we offer a vast selection of high-quality equipment, from microphones, recording interfaces, and software, to audio accessories, monitors, headphones, and other pieces to help you find your ideal sound. Our trained product experts are here to help every step of the way with unmatched customer service. You'll also get free same-day shipping, flexible financing options, and a low-price guarantee. Visit us online at fullcompass.com or call 800-356-5844 today.
Making Waves returns.
I want to get to the process I went through to accomplish this with these two gentlemen. But Eric, I want to go to you. In a vacuum, if Thom were not involved, what is your standard process for producing a new demo with a client?
Usually they pay me in full, and then I usually, if I want to get back to them, I will. If I don't, I just take their money. No, we probably shouldn't put that in there.
Be careful, that's going to wind up on the Gardner Collective post.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
That's going to be the hot take.
I feel like I'm talking about someone else. But anyway, no, it's you know, listening to Thom say all those things, it's a true collaboration in my mind. Like I expect a collaboration from the coach. I expect the coach to have input. I expect the talent to have input. I expect the agents to have input if they have representation, you know, depending on the demo and all that. But no, just as a snapshot, I guess it's, you know, get to know the talent a little better, figure out what makes them tick. You know, if it is in show, we talk about networks, where they see themselves, where I see them, where the coach sees them. You know, I'll listen to samples from the coaching. So it's very like back and forth in terms of, you know, where we're going to go with the demo. And then I'll go back and I'll write based on that discussion, and I send it to the talent for approval. And if they're good with everything, then we, you know, get set to record. Sometimes they'll work it with the coach once over, like Pinto mentioned. And if they're not, then it's you know, I'll explain to them why I did what I did with the copy, or if they feel like I missed the mark, or, you know, they want to make tweaks here or there. You know, my mantra is always, I don't care how it gets done, as long as the talent looks good, the coach looks good, and I look good. You know, like I'm never dead set on anything unless I think it's like a bad move, and then I'll speak up.
Yeah,
you know,
Eric, that's great. You do have to have your point of, you know, there's a difference between subjective, creative, you know, like, gee, I don't like that music or whatever, but if you really think that something is off, like that would never happen. So you do have that, what would you call it? Your dividing line on that. Kevin, I'm sorry, I know that we would love to hear your demo, but I would love to discuss what we did with you in terms of what that process was like. And, you know, you, like Bobby, you know, you've already done stuff. You've already worked on pieces, and here you were totally refreshing your demos. So do we want to listen to it first, or do we want to discuss the process?
I wanted to address the process really quick, because I think it's important for people, because I've, thank goodness I've been doing this. This is my 20-year anniversary doing this voiceover and producing myself, full time. I do a lot of commercial production and stuff. But I wanted to make sure I did this right. And I think it's a cautionary tale for folks that are thinking about a demo. Like when they get into this, they're like, oh, I want to do a demo right away. No, slow down. That's why I'm being so patient. And first of all, I wanted a strategy. I'm like, okay, why do I want this new demo? Well, because I've got a strategy. I want X by the end of 2024. And that's why. And I'm getting all my weaponry aligned. So my process is I want to be ready as I can be. Yeah, I've done documentary work. Thankfully, I've had, a handful of documentaries that I've done for national broadcast, but I wanted to be sharp. I want to be ready. So I got with Thom. I said, hey, let's do a few sessions. And the first session I did with Thom, we barely read. It was maybe towards the end we read, Thom, and we just discussed styles. We just kind of went over some stuff and some things that inspire me. And that's huge in a demo. And part of that process was discovering myself. What do I like? What are some of my favorite things? And we kind of unpacked that a little bit. And then the next session I did with Thom, that's when we started doing some reads. And Thom gave me good reinforcement. Kev, use your basement voice here. Let's hear your basement voice. Let's hear kind Kevin here. Let's hear all these different things. Thom, do you want to jump in on that?
My new moniker.
What's that?
My new moniker, kind Kevin.
Kind Kevin.
What's a basement voice? I don't know.
Oh, you're going to hear the basement voice, I think.
Okay.
Talk about
what his wife says.
But I think I ultimately did 4 prep sessions with Thom. And then we loosely went over the actual copy there towards the end. And I say loosely because I know Thom still wanted me to be malleable for Eric, but we kind of got some sounds down. We kind of got some points of view down. And all this stuff, P.S., will benefit me in my actual narration when those opportunities come around.
What's up? This your boy Trey Mosley, and this is the Making Waves VO podcast with Double K, Kevin Kilpatrick, and my girl Bobby Maxwell. Give a listen, y'all.
And you know what's funny, Kevin, is that I use this phrase from time to time, or this example. It's like, I don't want to suck the life out of you before you're working with Eric. So it's just like boxers, okay? A heavyweight champ, middleweight champ, Oscar De La Hoya, or if it's Ali, the night before the fight, what are they doing? And they're just kind of jabbing and this and that. They're looking, they're pumping, but they're not pummeling each other. They're not exerting everything. And so I wanted to make sure that, like you said, that you're malleable, that there's a freshness to the reads, and then let Eric, who's, known for covering his bases 6 ways to Sunday, do his job too. So I think for those of you who are listening, there has to be a sense of knowing what you want, but a sense of trusting the person who you've hired to produce this, to bring his or her vision alive. Because everybody brings something to the party, whether you're doing a demo or it's a movie. Everyone has a job to do. So allow them to do their job.
I want to chime in on 2 things. I think that trust thing is really important. I just had that scenario happen literally this week where the talent was like, I was very unsure of everything, and I should have just, he realized after the fact, once he got his demo back, he's like, man, I should have just trusted you more. And I'm sorry if I was a pain. And I don't mind it because I'm kind of a pain when I hire someone. So I brace myself for that kind of stuff. But it is really like, if you've done your research on demo producers and listened to their work and gotten, referrals, it's one of those things where you really do just have to trust that, okay, like they've done this for other people. They know what they're doing. And that to me is important. And I just want to make one other point about Kevin's preparation is I think it's important when people are preparing for a demo that you're not just preparing for the demo. He's preparing himself for when he does book another narration gig. Like, he's not just like, okay, I want this demo to be really great, and then I don't care about anything afterwards. No, the demo needs to be great, but he needs to stay great. He needs to be great post demo. You can't just be good enough for the demo. You have to look beyond that. So, I think Kevin did a great job of that this time around.
And we can talk about that after we hear this on replicating your demo, because can't imagine if somebody loves you and then they're going, what? Who is the same person? So we'll talk about that, but let's get to the good stuff.
Bobby can't wait anymore.
Bobby, do you want to tee it up?
No, I want one of them to tee it up. Come on. They did the work with you.
Pinto?
Eric? All right. I'm
so nervous.
I don't want to, it's okay. I don't want to reveal all the goodness, but keep in mind that sometimes the great Neil Young used to agonize over the order of songs on any LP he did, to the point that he drove the producer, whoever it was, crazy. But I think it's important when you're looking at, a minute 50 something or whatever it is, that the order is stacked in such a way. It is that jigsaw thing. And we did play around with this. Eric and I kind of went a little back and forth about what about this, what about that, because we over-recorded, or Eric over-recorded, more pieces than absolutely necessary. So I think what you're going to hear that we achieved for Kevin, and of course Kevin is, as the talented part of the process, is money voices. Making sure that those money voices are stacked close up front, and then you get into the, I don't want to say surprise elements, but we're going to call the secondary, and then the tertiary. So I think that's all I want to say. I don't want to, I don't want to.
Yeah, I guess
out of this.
I guess if this podcast ends up on the the cutting room floor of the Making Waves podcast, we'll know how Kevin really felt about the demo. Right?
I can't wait anymore.
All right.
I can't wait anymore.
Okay.
So without further ado, this is the 2024 Kevin Kilpatrick documentary demo.
The female cheetah is within striking distance of her next meal, a herd of springbok. They are heedless of the danger they're about to encounter. With speeds topping 80 miles per hour, the springbok is no match for the cheetah. Right now, on Full Custom Garage, master metal man Ian Roussel transforms a 1949 International work truck.
I'm just gonna bust this out, and I know he'll like it.
As the build gets rolling and the project's on the line,
We're gonna cut her up, weld her in, get her done.
Ian's got to get down and make it happen. 25-year-old Maddie Ashton is an autistic woman who works in the cafeteria at Strathaven Middle School.
I usually get the cookies out of the fridge and then I pan them up.
Because young adults with autism have the lowest rates of employment among those with disabilities, her mother began talking to support teams while Maddie was still in school. If the thought of French fries and ice cream, Coca-Cola and chicken, or peanut butter and chili makes you queasy,
Oh no!
we don't blame you. But what if we told you these pairings could be a new go-to favorite?
This is fantastic.
Find out why they made our list of the 20 most bizarre food combinations. In March 1994, Gary Ray Bowles murdered his first known victim, John Roberts. Roberts had offered him a temporary place to stay, but the stay was short-lived.
This homicide, we were notified and we responded.
Bowles bludgeoned and then strangled Roberts to death. By the late 70s, the toy industry is dominated by games for children, leaving adults with few options. But one fateful night, Scott Abbott and Chris Haney have the idea to make a board game that capitalizes on their love for trivia. This game would later be known as Trivial Pursuit. Oh!
Yeah.
Dang!
I got chills. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much. Holy crap. Yeah.
You good?
Yeah.
You happy?
Yeah.
Got a nice
Yeah.
you really have a nice roller coaster ride, and it was interesting because we were going back and forth in terms of the darker voices, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, Kevin, the fact that while your initial delivery on the nature piece was wonderful, that if you wanted to use it out of the gate, we had to have, and Eric did a terrific little rewrite, and you did tiny little adjustments to give just a little more thrust out of the game, but still in the nature zone. It just wasn't the nature zone. You know what I mean? Where everything is fine. It was the danger zone. So I felt comfortable with you leading off with that and kicking the crime further down, because if they didn't get to the crime piece, I think they could inherently hear the drama in your voice, coming out of the gate there.
Yeah, they could hear me go to crime with that sound, that tone.
And I kept coming back to, and Eric, I'm sorry, I want you to weigh in too, but I kept coming back to on that, coming in with kind Kevin third. I did not want people to leave without hearing that guy. That guy is so you. You walk down the hall, you run into Kevin Kilpatrick, that's you. And it's also just a great area. But it's also so you. So I'm so glad that was moved up a little further. Anyway, but good roller coaster ride.
Love it. Thank you.
Oh, all different cuts, all totally different moods and sounds for Kevin. Oh, so impressive. You guys knocked it out of the park.
Well, it was fun. It was fun, and he was open, and he was an instrument in my hands and then in Eric's hands. And that's really, sometimes you have to trust. I mean, it doesn't even matter which genre you're talking about. I remember years ago when I did a few cartoons, working with Andrea Romano. And Andrea Romano knew exactly what she wanted. If you just got out of the way of yourself, if she says, okay, this guy, he's about ready to jump off the building, but he really doesn't want to jump off the building. So go ahead. Just forget about what you thought about. She's giving you the pre-life that she wants, and then you execute. So I love it when I get, even as a coach, when I'm doing a doc. When I did this whole stuff last year for Warner Brothers, the Behind the Shield stuff that's on Max, it's like he would say, well, what's really important about this, because it was Scorsese's third movie, so I want to let people know that this was still early going. Hey, thank you for that. So I can lean into it that way. So producers, let's remember, producers, in particular documentary producers, have been living with this material for a year, sometimes 2 years. And then we come in, well, I think I'd like to do this because my voice would be, you know what I mean? They know. They know what they've lived with. They know how they pitched the documentary, the purpose of the documentary. And that producer knows that we need a performance that's going to live up to the purpose, the specific purpose of this documentary.
So, Eric, were you seeing, when you were actually recording and Thom was directing, and were you hearing different sides of Kevin, or do you feel like you had to push him? Was it natural? Tell us about your part of the whole thing.
No, I mean, Kevin's moldable. I mean, I actually directed. Thom just coached. So I directed him through the session. So I kind of knew, as you know, Bobby, like I like to go in and, like Thom said, over record. I like to have options. So if I'm as I'm producing, if I'm like, okay, now this read is kind of more similar to this, I could be like, all right, well, let me switch this with this and move this around, and we can go darker here or whatever. Just like Thom alluded to with Kevin and I reconnecting for the nature piece. We had something that was a little more pulled back, and Thom had the great feedback of, listen, this cheetah's about to attack, and it sounds more like the cheetah's, he didn't say this exactly, but it's calm, like there's nothing going on, and we need more attack. And that's, Kevin and I got back on the line. Kevin even had input on the copy. He threw out a phrase, and we ran with it. Mm-hmm. And it was great.
And especially that was important, because I'll repeat myself that what Kevin had done after the first order, and I'm trying to remember if it was third or fourth, was beautiful, nice, intriguing, behind the scenes, nothing wrong with the read. But Kevin wanted to lead. if he could, because it's a passion of his. So we had to find that aspect of nature that would deliver something a little more grabbing for an opener. And again, Kevin was open-minded. Kevin threw in ideas. And the other thing about Eric, because Eric is a modest guy, almost every time I've worked with Eric on something, I'll say, hey, I feel like the opening 5 or 6 seconds is a little tepid or whatever. Do you have another piece? And he goes, let me go back. And many times he'll go back and he'll sift through and he'll find take 17 that's got a little more grit. So my point here is, in terms of demos, the process of the demo of and when someone's listening to a demo is within the first 4 to 5 seconds, that attitude, point of view, vocal tonality, energy, and intensity needs to be evident right away, or else they're going bye-bye. Because we don't have 30 seconds to start the story. Here in the forest, blah, 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 blah. By then they're going, good night. It needs to be more intriguing. So Eric is really good at his writing, understanding that tone needs to be there quickly because people are ready to move on.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
This is voice actor and voice acting coach Linda Bruno, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. I heard it's really good.
Oh, Bobby, I remember getting into voiceover, and one of the most exciting parts about getting into voiceover is buying all the gear. You don't realize that until you become a voice actor and you got to produce your own stuff. And you go, ooh, this part should be fun. But then you go, I have not a clue on what I'm supposed to buy.
Exactly.
That's why you trust your good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com. They know VO there, and you're going to have a great selection of pro audio gear, and you're going to get a lot of good help. And there's a lot of good attributes that go along with buying from Full Compass.
Yeah, so if you're not really sure when you got the piece of equipment and you have questions about it, they have a free 2-year service or repair plan. They have free shipping on orders over $49. I love that. I think my favorite thing is the low price guarantee, because you just never know. You said a second ago that you're getting into this and you don't know what you need, but how about, do you know if you're paying the right price for it? So you don't have to worry about that when you shop at fullcompass.com. They'll guarantee to match the price on the products they sell for new, identical, and immediately available products offered at a lower price.
They have flexible financing, Bobby, and they also have free expert assistance, and that's why we say we know VO at Full Compass.
Everything from microphones to interfaces to headphones to mic booms, they've got it.
If you have any questions and you're more old school and you want to call them on the phone, you can call Full Compass at 800-356-5844. Full Compass and fullcompass.com.
We know VO. Now back to the podcast.
Kevin had to wait. Like, this demo's been done since the end of
February.
Yeah. So
you sent it to me February 28th and said, "Do not open."
Yeah.
Kevin, how do you feel? What's your thoughts, Kevin?
I love it. I'm excited because I've got a whole tactical approach throughout the rest of 24, and this is going to be an important piece of my weaponry, as I've been calling it. And it's hopefully going to open more doors. It's going to get me more opportunities. And so I'm thoroughly excited.
Yeah, he's only heard it once. He's only got to listen to it 99 more times.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
There's one thing that really stands out about Kevin for this demo, hearing all these cuts. His storytelling in it was incredible. I mean, 10 out of 10. And that's what makes a good documentary for a VO, right, Tom?
It does. And I think the unheralded technique to help differentiate pieces is phrasing. If you listen to that demo, again, it's not just the change in tone when he gets to cars. It's the staccato, bum, 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 the delivery. And then ice cream is more instinctive, and it's kind of back and forth, and it's up and down, and it's got this thing. And then toys is just a little easier, a little lyrical, a little whimsical in terms of the style. Not even the tone. Yes, the tone. But certain phrasing goes with certain tonalities.
And that's something I learned from Thom. Thom, way back when you and I first started working together, we're like, Kevin, allow yourself some phrasing, allow yourself to take some pausing, allow yourself to do some of that stuff for dramatic effect and help tell the story.
Yeah. I think we all are, for those of us who've made good money doing commercials, okay? We're used to the 30-second clock. We're used to, oh, please don't pause there. You can't do this. What do you think this is? You know what I mean? Well, guess what? People want to listen to us. And because we've got the visuals are so important, we need to do whatever we can to help set up the visuals. So that's why I keep saying over and over again, the beauty and the power of a pause in the right dramatic or comedic moment makes you a great storyteller, demonstrates to the producer that you're a great storyteller.
Beautiful. I love it.
We all paused. Did you know we all paused?
And you know what? I'm not just saying this because, but so Kevin, and I'll tell Bobby too, the next time I play a montage of some of my favorite working stiff narrators at VO Atlanta, Kevin, I guess I'm going to have to find an updated video clip, to put in there. And same thing with Bobby. So I'll check in with you guys before next year on that.
Absolutely, for sure.
Because that's always a great thing to play for people so they can hear, the different styles and the fact that they go, oh, that's a person here. Oh, that's not a celebrity. Oh, how great. And these are two people who don't live in L.A. I think I said that in class. Mm-hmm. I said, Kevin and Bobby, they don't live in L.A. They don't live in New York. They're not rep by L.A. or New York. And they're working. So, you got to get your marketing chops going so you can demonstrate to people, to the producers out there, your goods.
So, Eric, as far as demos go in general, how many different genres do you do demos for?
It's about five or six.
Totally different feeling and process for each genre.
Yeah.
I'm assuming?
For sure. I mean, I came from the imaging world, which Thom's whole thing about it's okay to pause. Imaging is so in your face. That was one of the biggest things that I needed to teach myself was. And that's where the whole thing of studying comes into play, where you have to study the craft. You have to listen to demos. You have to watch narration pieces on TV and promos on TV, because while there's similarities between some of them, they're in terms of production, just being okay with the sounds of nature behind Kevin's voice or the sounds of crime or whatever it is, the atmosphere. You have to let it breathe, especially in narration. So, yeah, it's fun. It's a nice change of pace.
You do a good job on that. And you also do a great job of finding the balance between people have to hear the growl, but we don't want the growl to dominate the voiceover. You want it to make it sound like it's coming off the TV. That authentic one. I remember somebody years ago said, I want to redo my TV narration demo, and they sent me the demo, and unfortunately, a car sound effect that was used, it was a crime piece. The car sound effect sounded like it came from one of those needle drop libraries, and it was like a 1957 Chevy, but not for comedic effect. You know what I mean? So, it's the authentic kind of sound design that Eric provides that makes those demos the way it is. That gives them their specificity and brings the pictures to life. Yes. The oral
So which one was your
picture.
basement voice, by the way, Kev?
The crime.
Yeah.
Thom, do you want to describe or explain the basement voice?
Well, I mean, seriously, it's how low can you go, but still have a give a shit factor.
Yeah, give a shit about being.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So, I think we all have a basement, and we also have a ceiling. My ceiling is not what it was 30 years ago. I mean, no one's going to hire me to do a docuseries about, killer coasters, roller coasters. That ship has sailed, because it's not even just about reaching those higher notes, but also sustaining it for what? An hour and a half session, right? Mm-hmm. So if we can all know our basement voice as well as our ceiling, also in terms of our range, here we go, range of drama. I was telling people in Atlanta, on a scale of 1 to 10, every time I was directing them, I said, come up with your own number system. Doesn't matter what mine is. How dramatic is this to you? Whatever. And he goes, well, I don't find it that dramatic. Then fine. Be more informational. If you're saying it's a number 3, just lay out the information. Save your 7 and 8s for when the guy's going to come around and do the stabbing, whatever it may be. And the variety of drama, that's the problem. Some people think on crime, they think it's got to be in here all the time. And what happens is that people tune out because there's no variety. You know what I mean? It's just
Tom, you need to work with a coach. Jesus. That wasn't a great take. Hit me up. I'll direct you.
Thank you very much.
Tom said he's not going to get hired for any roller coaster documentaries, but he will get hired for Zeppelin, The Stones, The Who. This is classic vinyl.
Why do I suddenly sound like I went to Harvard?
Okay.
I think by the way, you're putting the pauses in there. That classic vinyl, their imaging, those pauses are there because Nick Perniciaro, who's a terrific mixer, he loves coming up with, in 12 seconds, he can come up with 4 different music cues on a liner, which is really great. And then I have to give him several varieties because some might have a more, electric sound. Some might be more folk rock. Some might be bluesier or whatever. But yeah, I've got to make sure that I pop in those pauses for, he wants, give me even a pause between classic and vinyl because I'm going to filter vinyl one time.
Nice.
But guess what? That's a process, getting to know their style, getting to know what they do, and giving them options on it. Eric, I'm not young enough to go full tilt boogie on any kind of good contemporary imaging. Again, that ship has sailed, and that's fine.
Oh. Well, Eric, thank you so much, man. Eric, I love your process, man, and I appreciate your diligence and the earnest nature about which you go. You do this because you can tell Eric really cares about putting together the best demo possible.
Amen. Do you know that you know what, Kevin? That's one of the things that I usually say about Eric. I said, Eric wants to get down to business. Don't confuse that without him, that he doesn't care. This guy cares big time. This guy spends his weekends, even when he's got 3 kids, he finds time because he's got to go back and listen to mixes, with fresh airs because he was done on Friday. So, he's there and he wants to produce. He really wants a great product, and he's also open-minded enough to understand that if a recut is necessary, a remix is necessary, a revamping of the order, he knows that it's a process. So,
as he should. I mean, he's putting his best stuff obviously on his website, and anybody who wants to do a demo and says, go to Eric Romanowski. That's what they're going to do. They're going to go listen, and Eric has to give the best of the best every time.
Eric, any words? Any final words? Eric's just in a glow over there.
I'm getting choked up. No, I appreciate everything. I love working with you guys, all 3 of you, and it's like you guys said, it really is like I appreciate people investing in me, so I expect their best, and I know they expect my best. And if I'm not bringing it, what are they paying me for? You know what I mean? Like, so I always feel like I need to give 110%, as I should, as any demo producer should, because that's what people are paying you for.
Right.
So I appreciate the kind words. I just feel like I'm doing my job to the fullest.
Love it. Eric, how can people reach you if they want to talk to you more about demo production?
Earblowingaudio.com is probably the best way to do that.
And Sir Pinto of the Sicilian Pintos, thank you,
Yes.
good sir. And thank you for your coaching, your mentorship in the documentary space. And if somebody wanted to reach out to you for any questions regarding coaching or otherwise, how can they get you?
I mean, you pintopipes@gmail.com. I want people to understand something, though, that I am in a place in my life and in everything else that I'm doing that I have to prioritize with those who are first and foremost in a position to be getting these kinds of auditions. Then my second tier are those who are not getting those auditions, but I've been told by another agent or another casting director or another coach to work with these people. But once a month, I try to work with 2 people who are newer to the industry to do an exploratory lesson. Okay? And then from there, I'm starting to turn them on after that exploratory lesson to a couple of people who have wonderfully thrown their hat into this ring of TV narration coaching, Kevin Kilpatrick. And I think that Kevin Kilpatrick. There's also Dan Noctra, but Kevin Kilpatrick. And I'm just saying that we need more points of view. Not just because, not just the whole thing, Tom doesn't have the time, but it's great to have different points of view about how to approach this particular area of voiceover. So I wanted to put that little caveat about reaching out to me, that I care and I wish I could clone myself, but, I want to do a good job. And I have a ceiling, here we go, I have a ceiling in terms of how much I can do every month and still live up to my standards.
Yeah.
Of helping people to the finish
and
line.
Besides that, you've got a solid voiceover game going on. So let's not forget about that. Jeez.
Well, you know what? I do. I'm still working and auditioning, but the truth of the matter is that it still takes, I don't know how people do coach 3 lessons in a day. Woo. Blows my mind that they've got the energy to do it. Whether or not they have a voiceover career or not, I don't know how they are able to have the headspace to really dive into 3 different people Monday through Friday. I think it's tough. My hat's off to them. So, but I love what I do. And I also have some writing things that I'm working on as well. So I'm doing a little bit of a juggling thing about my candy store of things that I love at this point in my life. But you know what? TV narration is still top of the list.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. Could not be more thrilled with how it came out, and I owe a lot of gratitude to you guys. So thanks again, and thanks for doing it this way and revealing it on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Kevin, congratulations. You know what your work is now.
Yeah.
You get some great armor there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kudos, Kevin. Yep. It doesn't just fall on Tom and I. I mean, it all starts with your preparation. I mean, I've had people reach out to me and I hear their material and I'm like, you're not ready, and obviously Kevin, you were, and preparing with Tom certainly helped, to brush up and so kudos for putting in the work.
Thanks, man.
Put in the work.
I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. I appreciate your trust, Kevin. And on top of it, I know that this is your new candy store as well.
Yep.
So best to you. And yeah, let's go. Let's go. Absolutely. Break the ceiling.
Well, Bobby, that was a long time coming, and it was worth the wait.
I'm sure you're just beaming over there because it was so good.
You're sweet. Thank you so much. And it's like when you hear that, you're like, wow, okay, yeah, that's me, isn't it? And
that first cut, Kev, I'm sorry, that was amazing. It gave me chill bumps.
Oh,
it was
thank you for saying that.
So good.
And that's the one that we reworked just a little bit because, like Tom was saying, and maybe I was a little bit too naturey on the original take, but he wanted a little more edge. He wanted the drama to kind of come out of the gate right away because it was the scene of a cheetah about to get some springbok, right? And so the drama's got to be there right away. Whereas in the other take, we started it a little more flowery, oh, look at this mother cheetah. Oh, she's tending to her cubs. And, oh, look, but now opportunity, and then we kind of ramped up. But like Tom was saying, there's no time. You've got to develop that drama right away and grab that representation or whoever you're trying to pitch this to.
And you did. You did. Amazing.
Bless your heart. Well, I really like working with Eric Romanowski, and I love working with Thom Pinto as well. And so it's a process. And I think, and something else to reiterate is you got to be able to duplicate that,
Yeah.
Whenever you're,
definitely.
Whatever you're doing.
And you will.
I mean, I feel good about that part of it anyway.
We should check back in 6 months and see what your status is.
Well, that's a great idea. Yeah. Hey, I love that thought. Well, because... Well, here, how about towards the last quarter of 24? Because, I've got a whole plan. A plan is planned out, which is a bit redundant, but my plan is planned out throughout the leading into the final quarter of the year. It would be a great opportunity to update this whole process, and then I could recap the process.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So, Bobby, a great episode of the Making Waves VO podcast, and we're going to talk about something so fun on the next episode. It's something that is near and dear to both of our hearts.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about sports, but in particular, women voiceover talents' role in sports. Christy Hurst, who's an amazing VO talent, will be joining us in a little project she's got going. We'll talk about that next time.
On the Making Waves VO podcast, presented by Full Compass and FullCompass.com.
We know VO.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.